Now at 6, did you keep up with your New Year's resolutions? And if you didn't, are you starting a new one? Plus, a Joplin Civil Air Patrol cadet is awarded the Amelia Earhart Award. And scams when it comes to renting and what you need to know to safeguard your money.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We're less than 48 hours away from 2024, but did you accomplish what you wanted to in 2023? This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Anthony Saviello. The end of the year can mark reflection for yourself and allow you to see if you accomplished your goals. It also means it can be time to look towards the future. We spoke with local residents in Pittsburgh about their New Year's resolutions.
It was to start working out.
I think my New Year's resolution is to have more patience and understanding with people.
Probably the typical ones, try to eat healthier, get back to working out. We've got a home gym and it's not getting used much lately, so hopefully I'll get that, get back into getting in the gym, getting back into working out and eating a little bit better.
Chloe Arroyo joins us for a first look at the weather.
Let's hope that we leave these cold temperatures behind in December and not take them into the new year. Right now we are a little warmer than what we have been seeing, into the upper 40s to lower 50s. A couple of us reaching into the 50s. 55 was the high for a couple of counties in southeastern Kansas. Here's a look at 7th and Rangeline Joplin at 44 degrees. For your temperature right now, we have a slight breeze with that, so it's making us feel like the upper 30s. So keep that in mind. Our dew point warmed up or went up a little bit compared to what we saw yesterday, making us feel a little bit nicer. Now, coming up in a bit, we'll talk more about these cold temperatures, how long they'll last, as well as your New Year's Eve forecast, and even some rain chances ahead later on into next week and the beginning of the week after. I'll have the full breakdown coming up here in just a bit. Anthony?
Awesome, thanks Chloe. A Missouri woman who recently made the move to Wichita fell victim to a scam on Facebook Marketplace while looking for a home to rent. Haley Tucker brings us details on what you should look out for while looking for your next rental home.
Some people use Facebook to find homes to rent.
We came across this lady on Facebook Marketplace, and she said, yeah, sure, I'll rent you the place.
Joanne Rivera moved to Wichita from Missouri with her boyfriend. They were living in a motel, searching for a place to call home.
Saved for we can have a place, so we can have a place to spend for the holidays.
She found this home on South Mosley listed on Facebook Marketplace. She called the person who listed it, got approved by who they thought was the owner, and paid $1,500 for first month's rent.
We said, okay, well, I need to get the keys and I need the receipts. And she's like, okay, well, I'll meet you at the house and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when we went to the house and we waited there, and I went and I knocked on the door, and Katie opened the door and told me, you know, kind of confusing. She had a confused look on her face like, no, I'm not moving out until Monday.
The owner, who Joanne thought she was talking to, never showed up. Instead, she was greeted by Katie, who was currently renting.
It feels crazy, like it feels like something you'd see on a TV show, a comedy or a drama.
Joanne and her boyfriend slept in their car that night, not knowing it was actually a scammer on Facebook who took their money.
Now she's not returning my calls. She's not giving me my refund back. She's not, nothing. It's like she stopped all contact with us.
Another red flag is the way Joanne paid.
We have PayPal, so we paid her with that, and she told us to send it to her on friends and family.
We called the person Joanne paid.
And I've been working.
Hello, yeah, please call me back. I can't hear you. You can call me back since you want to talk to me.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, no, I can't.
And that's the last we heard from them. All it took was this scammer stealing an ad from a property management group actually listing the home to fake their own and steal money. The Wichita Police Department is now investigating and says this type of scam is one it sees often. If you're looking to rent, make sure you verify the person you're working with really owns the property. Try meeting with them face-to-face before paying them any money. Go through a third party like a bank to pay the person. And never pay someone you don't know through PayPal friends and family, because that money cannot be returned.
Train lovers made their way to the Fort Scott Museum of Creativity today as they featured the Kansas City T-Nuts Railroad Club. The event today was held from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Around 122 modules were on display, including one that portrayed a scene from the movie American Graffiti.
I'm hoping to recruit some kids that love trains to keep that interest alive and become more involved in model railroading.
It's just, you know, you're kind of a kid at heart, and it's just always been something that's you're just kind of drawn to.
The KC Nuts also have a permanent display at the museum that can be viewed during open hours. The Joplin Civil Air Patrol welcomed Missouri Wing Commander Jennifer Smith as she presented the Amelia Earhart Award to Cadet Commander Faith Abigail Godsell. The Earhart Award marks completion of Phase 3 of the CAP Cadet program, recognizing sustained excellence in all 4 areas of cadet life: leadership, aerospace, fitness, and character. Cadet Commander Godsell is also being promoted to Cadet Captain and will not only lead junior ranking cadets in her squadron, but around the state.
Well, they have helped me grow in leadership and public speaking skills. I'm way more confident in things like that, and they help me be more outgoing as well.
Cadet Godsell has now completed 3 of the 4 phases of the CAP Cadet program. Coming up, an update about the investigation into the Chinese spy balloon that hovered over American soil for 7 days earlier this year. Plus, a record number of migrants are crossing at the U.S. southern border. We'll have more coming up. With record numbers crossing illegally at the U.S. southern border, lawmakers are hopeful Congress will pass updated border policies in the new year. But that means Republicans and Democrats need to agree to make a deal. Rebecca Castor has the latest from Washington.
A new record at the U.S. southern border. Border Patrol has encountered more than 276,000 migrants at the border since December 1st. The highest monthly total ever on record, with still a few days to go.
This is a crisis that we have here in this area that we've had for several years already. And it appears that it's getting worse.
Border security has mostly been a Republican talking point. But now even the White House is taking action, with Biden sending top officials to Mexico this week to meet with President López Obrador.
Es muy buena la relación.
We have a very good relationship with President Biden. He understands that it is a phenomenon that has to do with the poverty of the people, of the countries.
The Biden administration says it will continue to work with Mexico to manage illegal immigration, but Republicans think the U.S. needs to take a stronger approach.
We need to look at enforcing the laws that are on the books and allowing ICE and CBP to do their job.
Until then, GOP lawmakers have put emergency aid for U.S. allies on hold.
There will be no aid, I believe, to Ukraine without the southern border being sealed.
Republicans and Democrats in the Senate have been tied up in border policy negotiations for weeks. New legislation is expected to come to the floor in the new year. And next week, over 60 House Republicans are scheduled to visit the border in Eagle Pass, Texas, to, quote, hold the Biden administration accountable on enforcing border policy.
You may remember the Chinese surveillance balloon that crossed the country earlier this year before being shot down. An update into that investigation says the U.S. intelligence agencies found the balloon used an American internet service provider to send transmissions of data related to navigation and location back to China. According to a U.S. official, the connection was not used to transmit intelligence back to China. Instead, the balloon stored that information, including imagery and data, for later. The U.S. has studied that information since shooting the balloon down in February. The Pentagon announced back in June that the U.S. government found that the balloon did not collect intelligence while flying over the country.
Coming up next, we're going to be talking about a shift in the weather pattern. I'll have all the details and more coming up next. Well, we're used to the cold at this point. Do we like it? Not so much, but we'll continue to see that for the next couple of days before we see a switch in the weather pattern. I'll talk about that here in just a second. Here's a look at our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just west of Seneca, Missouri. Pretty much the same pattern that we held yesterday evening, a very calm and clear cold evening, and will only decrease from there. Temperatures right now in the 40s. It's a little warmer. We'll take it. Joplin 44, Neosho 47, Stockton you're at 41, Iola hanging around at 43 degrees. Now heading into tonight, we'll get down to the below freezing range. Once again, you guys know the drill at this point. Here's a look at 7th and Range Line. Joplin, you're at 44 degrees right now. We have a slight wind coming from the south-southwest, which is still cooling us down just a hair. That breeze, once it catches you, something to keep in mind. Layer up if you're going out tonight. Feels like 39 degrees outside, but because we have that southerly wind, we have a little bit of moisture coming from the Gulf, which is making us a little less dry. So at this point, we'll take it because it's been very, very dry outside. Temperatures into the morning will be in the upper 20s, dipping down into the lower 30s by mid-morning hours. We're going to stay on the colder side heading into New Year's Eve, and for your evening especially, we'll dip down into the 20s, ringing in the new year. We'll have that slight northerly wind, which will be even cooler. So if you have those outdoor plans, whether it's with the fireworks or just hanging out with the family outdoors, layer up as much as you possibly can. Those feel-like temperatures going to be in the 20s, and that's going to continue throughout the rest of the week. Here's your New Year's Day morning. Will be in the feeling like in the lower 20s. But Monday afternoon, still going to feel like the mid to lower 20s. That's going to continue as we head into the rest of the week. Here's Tuesday morning, lower 20s, and we'll continue to see that all the way up until Thursday. We could even feel like we're in the teens. Mighty chilly. Now heading into the end of next week, 2 events that I want you to keep in mind. This is what we're still tracking. Our first round could push off into the east, and that low pressure system could bring some rainfall, nothing severe, but could bring some precipitation much needed with that drought. Here's our round 2 heading into Sunday. We can see this push by the time we get to Monday afternoon, a next chance for rain. So 2 days, early Saturday morning and Monday afternoon. Those are 2 days I want you to keep in mind in case for any chances for rainfall in the area. Here's a look at the rest of the week. Pretty consistent up until Thursday. Then we'll see that shift. We'll warm up just a hair, not by much. We'll see those showers head into Saturday and even Monday.
Cold, wet, and miserable.
Terrible.
Don't you have good news?
I wish. I wish.
Well, the good news is she's wearing pink fuzzy slippers today, so her feet aren't cold.
Listen. I'm feeling great right now.
Still ahead, Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball team faces Wichita State tonight in Kansas City. And Pitt State women's basketball finishes their final game of 2023. Brock Baldridge joins us with that and all the highlights and more coming up.
The Pittsburgh State women's basketball team returns from their break over the holidays. Pitt State wraps up their final game of 2023 with a non-conference opponent. Pitt State at home this afternoon facing the Tabor College Blue Jays. Gorillas looking to win 5 straight. We begin with the opening minutes of the game. Sydney Holmes gets this offense started with a 3-point shot here. Holmes was one of 4 different Gorillas that scored in double figures in this game. But later in the half, Emma Martin is wide open there in the corner. She drains a 3-ball. Gorillas led by 15 at that point. Later in the second quarter, Macy Mays driving here to the win. Missing the layup, but Corinna Gerber is there for the putback and gets fouled and won. In the closing minutes of the first half, KG showing off her range here. Gerber finished with a game-high 25 points. Pitt State leads 41-18 going into halftime. So in the second half, Grace Pyle gets the steal and gets a layup on the other end. And later in the game, Destiny Burgee finds Sydney Holmes in traffic, and that 3-ball there puts this one to bed. Pitt State goes on to beat Tabor College 75-47.
I thought today they were able to play a little more free even. I mean, we let them call the play coming out of the half, and it might have been a little too fun because it took us a while to get going. But I like to see them smiling, and they've worked really hard to get to this point.
It's nice to be back in here before Christmas and then get a few days off. And, you know, we've got great players on our team, people that work on their own. So I know everybody was in the gym over Christmas. So.
Over to men's basketball. Pitt State men's team beats the Lincoln Tigers this afternoon. Gorillas get the victory on the road, 77-60 your final score. Pitt State has now won their 5th straight game in a row. The Gorillas improved to 7-4 on the season. Well, we shift gears on over to from college hoops to high school hoops now. The Carthage boys and girls teams are each wrapping up the holiday tournaments ahead of their conference season. The Carthage boys team wraps up their tournament in Harrison, Arkansas for the Harrison Lindell Thomas Classic. And then the girls team, well, they finished things at the pink and white tournament, that big one in Springfield. Fortunately, they can't get the win today. They go down 53-31 against the West Plains Zizzers. However, Lady Tigers did go 2-2 in that tournament. Well, we go to the Kansas Jayhawks now. They are finishing their final non-conference game before they hit Big 12 play in January. The Jayhawks hit the road to Kansas City for a date with the Wichita State Shockers. Kansas versus Wichita State tied up 14 in the first half. Elmarco Jackson takes himself, what a move there to the rim. Then, very next possession, Elmarco Jackson is on the loose, and there on the fast break, he stuffs it home with a jam there. Jayhawks lead it by 4. Later in the first, KU up by 14. KJ Adams says, I will take that myself, and we'll get some elevation there as well. Kansas leads it by 16. So we head to the second half. Hunter Dickinson, who is 7 feet 2 inches tall, not much you can do about that. Kansas now leads by 26. Dickinson finishes with 22 points, 13 rebounds. Under 14 minutes left in the game, Parker Brown gets the alley-oop, and his brother Christian Brown is there loving it. Kansas goes on to beat the Shockers 86-67. So Pittsburgh State basketball, how about it? Men's and women's teams, they are both on a 5-game winning streak.
Being new to the area, it never ceases to amaze me how amazing that college is at every sport that they play. They're incredible to watch.
They are certainly terrific, especially this season, especially the women's team. Congrats to them, starting the season 11-1.
Absolutely. Awesome. We'll be right back. 2 Florida hikers had to be rescued after becoming lost in an alligator-infested swamp last week. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office released video of the rescue on social media. It took place in the Cypress Creek Wilderness Preserve on the evening of December 23rd. The Sheriff's Office says the aviation unit used night vision goggles to help guide officers to where the lost hikers were located. The 2 hikers appeared to be unharmed and were safely escorted to the entrance of the preserve. Westminster police say a beagle ran after a critter Thursday morning and got stuck in a drainage pipe. Animal management officers and the fire department were called to help out. Firefighters stationed themselves on both ends of that pipe, one on land, one in the creek. They couldn't reach the pup no matter what they did, and ultimately used an air bottle to agitate the pipe and get the dog to scoot. Harvey the beagle eventually made it out and was reunited with his owner.
So They literally blew out the dog.
They blew out the dog. He's okay though. He's okay. He's fine. Final weather notes.
On the men, yes. Well, we're going to see a lot of sunshine, but we're not going to be warm by any means. We're going to be in the 40s throughout the rest of the week, and then we'll see a shift in the weather pattern and see some chances for showers by the end of next week. Much needed too.
Final sports note, sir?
Final sports note, I say Pitt State, great day for them. Carthage, way to bounce back from the couple of losses they had earlier in the week. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, another little note there, Isaiah Pacheco, he is cleared to play tomorrow against the Cincinnati Bengals. Was in concussion protocol, kind of had a nasty hit in that game last week against the Raiders. So good to see him back in the field. So he'll be ready to go for any fantasy owners out there. Yep. Championship round.
Fingers crossed for those Chiefs. Hopefully this is their week. That's our time for now. From all of us here at the KOAM News Station, have a great night.